When you know that you are queer, but your favorite drink is beer, that's gayish. You can bottom without stopping, but you can't stand going shopping, that's gayish. Oh, gayish, you're probably gayish. Well, life's just too short for narrow stereotypes, so it's gayish. We're also gayish. It's Gayish with Mike and Kyle.
Hello, everyone in the podcast universe. This is Gayish.
The podcast that tickles your taint.
Wait, you've used that one.
I have?
Yeah.
Ah, fuck. Well, Brandon gets double.
Thanks again, Brandon.
Whoops. But it tickles your taint harder this time.
Okay, great. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz.
We're here to bridge the gap between sexuality and actuality. And today we're going to talk about hookers.
Oh, is that a rugby term?
It sure is.
Okay. We're going to talk about rugby.
We're going to talk about rugby because both of us are real qualified.
Yeah, this is one of those episodes that we can blame on Patreon. You all voted for it, and we're going to talk about something that, well, I know nothing about it. I don't know how much you know about rugby.
Very little.
Very little. Okay, great.
There's a lot of thighs in rugby. I'm here for that.
Like grabbing their underwear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But okay.
But first,
hey Kyle.
Hey Mike.
It's Asexual Awareness Week.
Hey.
And I just want you to know that we're aware. We should have been aware last week so that it wasn't half over when we...
No, this is part of the culmination of the celebrations of Asexual Week, is us recognizing that.
Yeah, but like it's a whole week and like 4 of the days are already gone.
But if we did it before then, we wouldn't have been in the middle of Asexual Week, so it would have been pointless.
I don't think asexuals want us to be in the middle.
What do asexuals really want? I think lemon cheesecake.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Maybe they eat pie.
No.
Because the pies don't.
Nope.
Okay, that's all.
Yeah. I think we recognized asexuals.
We don't have any 100 words. Use my hole, everybody.
Yeah.
But now here's the news.
Shut your mouth hole, it's time for your ear holes. News
The first, Kyle.
Yeah.
I had a real hard time coming up with a shit sandwich this week.
Is it all shit this week?
No. Well, sort of. No.
Okay. We'll find out together.
Great. It's more of a like a, I don't know. What's 2 pieces of shit on top of some fun?
It's a fun sandwich.
It's like
made out of shit bread.
An open-faced shit sandwich. Okay, news the first.
Yeah.
So, in case anybody thought that this was just going to be an exercise in like the abstract, it's actually happening. The state of Texas is suing a doctor for allegedly providing gender-affirming care to trans youngsters. This is the first legal case against a medical professional since the ban on treatment passed into law in Texas. The lawsuit, announced by Texas Attorney General and real dickbag fuckface asshole Ken Paxton. Is he on the list? Add him to the list. I'm going to vote for him. The lawsuit, announced by dickbag fuckface asshole Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton, has been brought against Dallas-based Dr. May Lau, who is accused of providing hormones to more than 20 minors. Her profile on the UT Southwestern Medical Center website, where she's an associate professor in the pediatrics department, says she specializes in, quote, adolescent female and male sexual and reproductive health, including menstrual disorders, polycystic ovarian syndrome, dysmenorrhea, breast masses, gender dysphoria, education for and treatment of sexually transmitted infections, and the provision of contraception. So basically what she's accused of is falsifying records so that testosterone prescriptions are being given to these minors for reasons other than transitioning. So basically, quote, Dr. Lau is putting the health and safety of minors at risk by prescribing testosterone, a controlled substance, to biological female minors for the purposes of transitioning their biological sex or affirming their belief that their gender identity is inconsistent with their biological sex in violation of Texas's health and safety code. Which I think I support. I love malicious compliance. Which is like, yeah, it's not because they're trans. It's because
it's for normal cis reasons.
For normal cis reasons that they need testosterone.
Yeah.
But yeah. So the state is asking the court for an injunction against her and for her to be fined as much as $10,000 for each alleged violation.
Wow.
And I don't know, man. Like, if you're a doctor and you've like said the Hippocratic Oath, which is that you will do no harm and that you will provide health care to people who need health care. And we know medical science, doctor shit, says trans healthcare is important, saves lives. It's necessary. It is not like a matter of, I don't know. It's not optional. What am I trying to say?
I don't know.
Oh. And so, like, I don't know how do you comply with a state law like this one that is telling you basically not to do your job and to violate the oath that you took?
Right.
So I think good for her for finding a way or something.
Yeah, that's true. I curious to know a little bit more about what actually happened, like, because what they're alleging, who knows if that's, I guess that's why it's going to go to the court to figure out what actually happened there.
Yeah, it says that she falsified medical records, prescriptions, and billing records to give testosterone to these minors. And it says minors. I doubt they're like 8, which is what the fucking right wants us to believe.
Yeah.
That they're getting testosterone shots at the gym during lunch break of elementary school.
Yeah. And usually usually transitioning includes like mostly social stuff, like so name, clothing and stuff. So that's usually the kind of treatment that helps with younger people, or like if anything puberty blockers. So I'm surprised there's more going on than just puberty blockers. Like I don't know enough about trans healthcare to know what younger people need to help support their gender dysphoria.
Well, you know who else doesn't know about trans healthcare is fucking Greg Paxton. Ken
the
Paxton.
Politicians. We should let the doctor who studies.
And you know who probably does know about trans healthcare?
This doctor.
Dr. May Lau.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. It pisses me off.
Yeah.
Fuckers. News the second.
Yeah.
Okay, Kyle. So this is soccer.
Okay.
The Tottenham Hotspurs have warned their fans not to do a certain chant because it's homophobic.
Oh, do they say faggot in it?
No.
Oh.
It's the most British thing ever, and it really makes me happy. So there's a game against West Ham and the Spurs.
I'm sorry, West Ham?
Yeah, that's what it says.
The name of the soccer club is West Ham.
I guess. That's what it says.
It's not East Ham, though. It's West Ham.
West Ham. Well, because ham was growing west and east is the river. So, so season ticket holders received an email from the club saying that it would take a zero tolerance approach to discrimination after recent games in which 2 homophobic chants were sung by viewers. And the email is the most British thing ever. We should firstly like to thank our fans for their cooperation ahead of the Brighton away fixture, at which there were no reports of homophobic chanting. We will not be complacent and are reminding supporters that the club takes a zero-tolerance approach to all discrimination.
I mean, apparently not zero tolerance, because did everyone get kicked out of the stadium when they did the homophobic chant?
Well, before.
Right.
They tried to put a stop to it, and then everybody listened this one time. So
this doesn't sound like zero tolerance.
Our stewards will once again be wearing body cams to identify individuals involved in unacceptable chanting so the club can take the strongest possible action. This includes the Dominic Solanke chant with reference to Michael Arteta and any use of the term rent boy.
Wait, rent boy is homophobic?
Apparently so.
Huh.
Which, I mean, because it says you're a sex worker.
Yeah, but you can be hired by straight people.
I mean, you can. So one chant's lyrics is Dom Solanke is fucking class. Mick Arteta takes it up the ass. 60 million down the drain. Dom Solanke scores a gain.
Huh.
It rhymes in British. A second chant calls Manchester United player Mason Mount a Chelsea rent boy. So they chant Chelsea rent boy.
Hot.
And apparently the Crown Prosecution Service, or CPS, last year said that calling somebody a rent boy is a homophobic hate crime. There was a whole thing about it, and that has been declared as homophobic. So now it for sure is, because the Crown says so.
Right. Well, when you're a rent boy for a all male team, then that makes sense. That's pretty gay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, and apparently, and Chelsea's where a lot of gays are. So I think
we're going to talk more about sports, but all these sports teams are trying to be like so publicly pro-gay so that people are like, fucking come out, please.
Yeah.
Someone come out and be gay.
Well, and in these like hyper masculine like environments, the idea that like the worst thing that you can be is a faggot, then that's why it gets used, because I don't know, people get all worked up, and well, I'm sure we'll talk about it more in the rugby part. Anyway, stop chanting.
Yeah. Well, stop chanting those specific things.
Yeah, and anything that's bad.
Don't chant bad things.
Just chant about puppies and rainbows and scoring more points than the other team.
But don't say anything bad about rainbows, because that'd be homophobic.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Okay. News the last?
Yeah.
News the last. So I try to look for the gay in every story, Kyle. And this one is about former President Donald Trump. So he was at a campaign rally in Pennsylvania. The recent episode that we did on Pennsylvania is, noteworthy. Go back and listen to that if you want to. But apparently it's the town of Latrobe, which is the hometown of golf legend Arnold Palmer. Do you know who Arnold Palmer is?
He's a drink. I think he's half lemonade, half iced tea.
He's also dead. He died in 2016 at the age of 87. But he's a local hero because he was born and raised there and like real good at golf, or at least used to be before he died.
After he died, he got notably worse at golf.
He went on a rambling. So Trump went on a rambling 12-minute monologue detailing Palmer's life, but he said, I can't just. Donald Trump said this shit. Quote, Arnold Palmer was all man, and I say that with all due respect to women. When he took showers with other pros, they came out of there and they said, oh my God, that's unbelievable.
Wow. He's talking about his dick?
I had to say it. We have women that are highly sophisticated here, but they used to look at Arnold as a man. I don't see any way around him saying Arnold Palmer's dick was so big it scared the other golfers.
Yeah.
What?
Wow. I wonder if that's true. I'm glad the legacy he's leaving behind is his giant dick.
I mean,
I didn't know he and that pole vaulter were had so much in common.
We're the problem, Kyle. We sexualize everything.
Yeah.
Like, we're the gross ones.
Yeah. But Arnold Palmer was quite a man.
Apparently so. But for the former president of the United States of America, who's currently running for office, to talk about the giant hog of a dude because he's speaking in front of that player's hometown is just... what planet do we live on?
It's weird. It's a weird thing to do.
He's a weird man.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's the news.
That's the news. Speaking of other people, let's talk about the people that signed up for our Patreon for some reason. Yeah. I want to thank our new Patreon member, This Guy 14.
This guy?
Yeah. I guess 1 through 13 were taken. So
I guess so. Yeah. I wonder if he has 2 thumbs.
This guy. If you want bonus episodes, bonus segments, if you want to use Mike's hole,
use my hole.
Do that. If you want to get a t-shirt or a signed shirt or discount on the merch store, we got lots of benefits. You can go to patreon.com/Gayish podcast.
Do it.
Do you want to talk about rugby?
Well, first. I am the champion.
Yeah.
After losing a couple of months in a row, I'm very excited about the fact that I beat your ass.
Yeah, I put up fishing and then you said rugby and I was like, oh fuck. Yeah, there's no way anything else was going to win but rugby. Good job. You won, Mike.
Thanks.
By a landslide on both polls.
It was very, very lopsided this time.
Yeah.
Which then we had to actually talk about rugby, which I know nothing about.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like the thing that gets you the votes is not always the thing you actually know about and can actually do an episode on. But I think I have some hopefully interesting things to talk to you about, but we'll see.
Okay, well, let's...
One of our Patreon members said, of course, rugby, sweaty straight boys grabbing each other over the entire game with no qualms. That was from Mark. So I think that reflects the sentiment of why rugby is like hot straight dudes.
Yeah, it does seem like there's a lot of like piles of sweaty dudes with their hands down their pants for inexplicable reasons.
Yes. And they're all like thick boys.
They're thick boys. 2 C's. Maybe
Yeah.
3 C's even.
Maybe 3. Ooh. That elusive third C in thick. I think they earn it.
They for sure earn it. They're like, oh my God. Well, I wanted to talk to you, of course, about the history of rugby.
Sure.
And this time, Kyle, the history of rugby is like dudes have been like throwing a ball at each other and running and then trying to murder each other for like a long ass time.
Mm-hmm.
But the game of rugby itself has an interesting past. And so we're going to play 2 Lies and a Truth. So I'm going to tell you 3 stories, and one of them is actually how rugby was founded.
Okay.
Do you know the answer already?
No, I don't.
Okay, great.
No.
I love this. Okay, so number 1. Rugby was invented in 1823 by William Webb Ellis, a student at Rugby School in England. According to legend, during a football match, Ellis picked up the ball and ran with it, defying the rules of the time. This act of defiance is credited with creating the distinct handling game that became rugby. Number 2.
Okay.
So the third one is it's named after the school it was invented at. Number 2, rugby was invented by Lord Percival Smythe, a confirmed bachelor and an eccentric aristocrat in the early 19th century. Smythe, known for his flamboyant lifestyle and love for physical activities, created the game to entertain his guests at lavish garden parties. His version of rugby involved players wearing elaborate costumes and using a ball made of silk. And last, the Romans. The origin of rugby can be traced back to ancient Rome, where it was played by gladiators as a training exercise. The game was known as harpastum and involved teams of gladiators trying to carry a ball across a marked field while avoiding tackles from their opponents. It was eventually banned because it was too violent, but was later revived in medieval England and evolved eventually into the modern game of rugby. So there's your 3 stories, Kyle. Is it named after the school that it was invented at? Is it invented by a confirmed bachelor at garden parties, or was it invented by Roman gladiators?
I'm going to go, I think, because I'm optimistic and want it to be true, I want it to be number 2. It was named Lord Cumrag or whatever who had a bunch of people over and had a satin rugby ball.
Lord Percival Smythe?
Yeah.
No, that's a lie.
Oh man,
The Romans,
I'm less interested now.
The Romans is also a lie. The harpastum was a game and it did exist and it was banned because it was too violent, but it only bears like a passing resemblance to rugby. No, rugby was named after the school at which it was invented by this boy named William Webb Ellis, who apparently in 1823 was like, fuck this game, I'm going to pick this ball up and run. And then he had to get chased. And that eventually turned into rugby. So
if you break the rules, you might, instead of like, oh, you're not following the rules of the game, just say you're inventing something new.
Right, exactly.
That's what I say at work all the time when I don't do it. I'm inventing something new.
Sure. Or like when I blow a red light and the cop pulls me over, I'm like,
yeah,
I'm inventing a new sport.
I'm inventing a new way to interact with red lights.
So that was in 1823. It took a few years. About 20 years later, in 1845, the first rules of the game were established at Rugby School and published, which then consequently lent its name to the sport. So that's the thing that seems impossible but actually true, right? Like it's the name of a place.
Yeah.
Enthusiasm for rugby quickly spread to Scotland and Ireland, and some of the first rugby football clubs were formed in the late 1850s in Dublin, Edinburgh, and Blackheath in London. By the start of the 20th century, rugby had spread across the globe to mainland Europe, North America, and British colonies in the southern hemisphere. Yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit more later about like the rules of rugby and the positions and whatnot. But like, what do you know about the rules of it? Like, how's rugby played? What do you know?
It seems like you throw the ball backwards and then someone catches it and tries to run as far as they can until everyone stops them. And then once they stop them, they throw it backwards again and someone else tries to run.
I think you just described the whole game.
I think they're trying to get it down the field. I don't know where exactly to or why, but I think they're trying to get it down the field.
So rugby is there's two kinds of rugby, and that is what sort of makes it confusing. So there's rugby union and there's rugby league, and they have slightly different rules and different traditions because it split in 1895. So rugby was like one thing until 1895, and then it split into rugby union and rugby league, and they've got different stuff. And I don't know enough about the differences between them to call them anything other than rugby. It's all rugby. We're going to talk about it all at the same time as rugby. And but basically, rugby is played by two teams of 15 players each, and each position is numbered. So if you say a 6, that means a thing. But that's your position.
Sure.
They all also have names, and we're going to talk about those. But they're trying to score the most points within 80 minutes. It's divided into two 40-minute halves. And the primary objective is to carry the ball over the opponent's goal line and ground it to score a try. And a try is worth 5 points. Players, this is part of what you were saying, players can pass the ball only sideways or backwards. You can't pass the ball forwards. But they can kick it in any direction. And then the game involves various set pieces like scrums and lineouts to restart play. Tackling is a key defensive strategy, and players must release the ball when they have been tackled. The team with the most points at the end of the match wins. So it's not unlike football, but American football, you can pass the ball forward if you're the quarterback. Mm-hmm. And play stops every time the ball is grounded. Every time there's a tackle, then you restart. Everybody lines up again, and you go. In downs, we call them downs in football, and that does happen in certain circumstances in rugby. But basically, instead of restarting every single time, if you're tackled, you release the ball and you keep going. You keep going over and over and over again instead of like having this like stop of play.
Yeah,
it's super ass violent. There's lots of like.
They don't wear pads.
Yeah, they also don't wear pads, which seems like a good way to lose an eye.
Yeah, that seems dangerous.
I think it is dangerous, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But you have some data.
I'm going to tell you some data. So this is from a study called The Effectiveness of an Educational Intervention Targeting Homophobic Language Used by Young Male Athletes, a cluster randomized control trial by Eric Dennison, Nicholas Faulkner, Carrie S. O'Brien, Ruth Gines, and Mitch Canning. This appeared in the British Journal of Sports Medicine in 2023. And what they did.
I'm guessing that the effectiveness is not 0, but is significantly less than shaming on TikTok.
Oh, you think shaming on TikTok is the best way to reduce homophobic?
Yeah. I think that's why Gen Z is like on board with shit, because like they have a culture of like, you can't say XYZ or you're going to get blasted on TikTok. And then like that makes people behave.
They did not. That was not one of their follow-up recommendations, unfortunately. All right. But we need to do our own study to see if blasting people on TikTok is effective means of controlling homophobia. They had a professional rugby team, I guess. I don't know. Melbourne Rebels Super Rugby team delivered an anti-homophobia.
Why are they super?
I don't. Super Rugby is like a different. I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know. I just wrote down what they said.
Okay.
That probably means something to someone. Super Rugby is like a tournament or something. I don't know. They delivered an anti-homophobia talk to every under 18s and Colts under 20s team in Victoria. Again, I don't know what those mean, but I'm assuming 18s means age and under 20s means age. So to these young kids, and they did a survey 2 weeks before and after the talks to measure the impact of the professional talk to see how much it affected their use of homophobic language.
I think I like this. I don't know if there's any problems with the way the study was created, but it seems logical to be like, let's listen to how much they shit talk each other homophobically, and then we're going to say, sit down, fuckers, and listen to this shit.
Yeah.
And then see if that helped.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So the pre-training survey before the Rebels came in and talked, there were 55% of self-reported using homophobic language at least once over the previous 2 weeks.
Yeah. When was this?
So more than half. 2023.
What?
Yeah.
Okay. I was thinking specifically about like when we called everything gay. Even I called everything gay. That was like the 90s, and I thought shit had gotten better than that.
This was like not just. I remember it said. I guess I didn't write it down. This was not just calling stuff gay. It was like calling people faggots and stuff.
Okay.
This was like, yeah.
Great.
So yeah, more than half self-reported using homophobic language, and 77% perceived teammates to have used homophobic language.
Okay.
So like.
I do about half the time, but everybody else way more than that.
Yeah, but like everybody else, if everyone does it half the time, then I don't know who the 22% are that didn't perceive any homophobic language. That's interesting.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. Maybe they're just in denial.
Maybe. Or didn't want to admit it.
Or maybe they don't think anything is homophobic.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe they don't know that.
Like, it's not homophobic. I just told that faggot that he sucks.
Yeah. So the post-training survey, again, the numbers before 55% self-reported using homophobic language, the number rose to 61%. Self-reported using homophobic language.
We made it worse. we accidentally taught them how.
Oh, God. And again, 77% perceived teammates to have used homophobic language. That number rose to 82%.
Okay. Great. Okay. I was kind of making a joke, but maybe I didn't realize it was homophobic. And then we taught them what's homophobic and what isn't. And they're like, oh, yeah, Tommy really is a bigot. I just didn't know.
Yeah.
Maybe?
I think, or maybe it'd be like kind of funny after someone comes in and says, don't use faggot. If you're like, hey, faggot, that'd be kind of funny as a kid to like specifically react against that. I don't know. They didn't say why, but according to the study, quote,
kids suck. That's the answer.
Yeah. Especially if they're faggots. The study said, quote, use of professional rugby athletes to deliver education on homophobic language was not effective. Other approaches to reduce homophobic language, such as peer-to-peer education and enforcement of policies prohibiting specific language by coaches, should be explored. It seemed like this was built into the culture from the top down, and bringing in outsiders wasn't effective, so they needed to change the culture from within, is what it sounded like.
Okay.
And it also said that
Australia. Because Australia.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What?
Australians are like super mask broy about things.
Is that why I'm into them?
Probably.
It's not just the accent.
Not just the accent.
Yeah.
It's a good accent too, though.
It's a good accent.
Some people don't like it, apparently.
Oh.
Which I think they're wrong.
I agree.
Go ahead.
When they actually asked them about their opinions towards gay people, they weren't homophobic. So they were using homophobic language without being homophobic themselves, which, like, intent versus impact, their intent was not actual homophobia. Their impact, of course, if you use the word faggot, except if you're me. Yeah. Everyone else uses it. You're being homophobic. Yeah. So
yeah. This is like the saying everything is gay, right? Yeah. Like, I think I legit did not think that I was talking about gay people when I said that's gay. It's right. Like, this word means something else now. Yeah. And that thing is not good. Right. But I get it. Yeah. Like the using it but not actually being homophobic, I think makes sense to me.
Yeah. But that doesn't change that it is a homophobic thing that reinforces that being gay is seen as more feminine and weak and bad. Yep. So it's all of those things. The study also said, quote, this language is deeply entrenched in male sport and it will be very difficult to stop. Boys report hearing their coaches and PE teachers using homophobic language as early as 8 years old. And it seems they start using this language to conform to these older men and gain acceptance. This is how it remains so normalized in men's sport.
Yep.
So that's why I say that it's got to start with the tops.
Sure.
The people in top got to stop, and then that'll trickle down. It's like trickle down economics, but it'll actually work.
Piss play?
Yeah. That's the data that I have.
Okay, so I want to talk about the problem of toxic masculinity and how it seems to be associated with sports and how it seems to be particularly bad in rugby.
Yeah, okay.
There are gay rugby leagues.
Yeah.
But
there are a lot of gay rugby leagues.
Yeah. The Seattle Quake is one of them.
Oh.
And I know that they're like a big deal, and they don't seem that bad, but they are like totes mask at the same time. Right? Like I don't see many twinks playing rugby.
Yeah, you got to be a beefy boy to play rugby.
Yeah, a thick with 3 C's.
Mm-hmm.
So I wanted to talk about, this is also in Australia, which that's interesting. But so Tommy Raudonikis lost a grandson to a rugby injury.
Oh wow!
And he was playing rugby league, and this was back in 2013, so about 10 years ago, 11 years ago. So this kid was killed in a rugby injury thing that happened, and the grandfather, who was also a player who had played for many years and was ensconced in that universe, said, quote, "Everyone needs to understand that this was just an accident. Rugby league is a hard game played by hard men." Now, erection jokes notwithstanding about that sentence. So he's saying that this was a unfortunate and unpredictable thing that happened. But
I want to know the stats on injuries and deaths in rugby. Like, is that true? Is this just an isolated incident?
Exactly. Well, and apparently, at least in Australia, I assume this is worldwide also, but rugby league has a history of players carrying on even when they are seriously injured. So South Sydney captain John Sattler once played an entire grand final with a broken jaw.
Oh my God. Ow.
Yeah.
I guess you don't need a jaw to throw a ball or run.
In one game, South Sydney and Manly player Les Davidson played with a detached retina.
Well, you need your eye to play the game, if I know one thing.
And this whole thing about like, yes, this is a violent sport. Men are violent, and that somehow justifies what happens there.
Yeah.
Is like kind of toxic, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's the like men can't admit when they need help or like are injured. Like they don't go to the doctor, like, because that would be admitting that they need help, and they're not independent anymore, and that is frowned upon because we're taught that we're supposed to be the breadwinners and be independent and not need anyone, not have feelings. Yeah. So some of the injuries and people playing in spite of that also seems in line with some of those toxic masculine traits.
Yep. This person that wrote this article said, quote, "I've watched rugby league for over 40 years. I've seen great players and exciting tries. I've also watched the player with the ball be hit by up to 5 opposing players at once, grappled to the ground, their faces pushed into the turf, perhaps an elbow to the back of the head for good measure, and this is all legal. It's been interwoven with coat hanger tackles, where an outstretched arm snaps a player's head back with great force, spear tackles, late tackles on defenseless players, and countless punch-ups. Yes, all this is illegal, and the referees do their best to stamp it out, but it still happens every week. It would seem that many Australian men, both players and fans alike, take this violence to be an inevitable part of rugby league. The hard game, hard men trope allows players, coaches, commentators, and fans to ignore the ugly side of rugby league. Invoke it, and that's all one has to say. Your interlocutor will nod wisely, and further discussion of the incident your remark refers to is rendered superfluous. In this way, the inherent violence of rugby league is silently sanctioned." And it reminds me of like the boys will be boys defense against like sexual assault and general bad behavior in the fraternity world, which I'm intimately aware of. And then things like police officers and I don't know. Do you have a response to all of that?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be a bad podcast if I didn't.
Great.
Yeah, I like the fact that he's pointing out, like, you can't just say hard men and shut down the conversation. Usually that's the beginning of the conversation for me. But like, you can't just say that's just the way it is and move on. It seems like what they're trying to do is just say like, that's just how it is. Or that, like you said, like, that's just how boys are, or like, that's just the game.
Yeah.
And try to dismiss like if you stand back and look at this is fucking violent and horrifying. Like, that's how I feel about football. I never watched the movie Concussion, but I felt the impacts of concussion. I feel like they started instituting new rules in the game of football because they...
Well, so okay, yeah, absolutely. It isn't limited to rugby. This phenomenon is not limited to rugby. I don't want to sound like we're picking on rugby. It just happens to be the catalyst for us to have this conversation. But yeah, in American football, they like started redesigning helmets and changing the rules about which kinds of tackling were legal. But also, I've read or heard they're still going to mash their heads together with their helmets, and it's going to scramble their brains. Like no amount of padding and changing their tackle stance is going to prevent the kinds of brain injuries that we are seeing in these players. Yeah. Like, it is unjustifiable and unmitigatable.
Yeah.
And yet we still do it because it's a multi-billion-dollar industry.
Yeah. We think that there are benefits like teamwork and discipline and practice and like some of those things that come along with it, which you can also get through, like, I don't know what other thing you can play in the band and get a lot of those things.
Overwatch?
But like, sure.
Video games?
Sure. I mean, I think boxing is the most extreme one of these where I'm like, oh, you're actually trying to beat the shit out of each other. Like football, the end goal is not beat the shit out of each other. It's get the ball into the goal. It's just beating the shit out of each other comes along with it.
Yep.
Like, whereas boxing is literally like, let's beat the shit out of each other.
Yep. Till someone falls down.
Till someone gets so hurt that they fall down and can't get up anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think I have a problem with sports.
Well, I think that I haven't, no data. This is just a felt sense or whatever. But like, the more violent a sport is, I think the less likely there are to be gay players. So I think there are gay rugby leagues. Sure, that's a thing. Great. And just in general, it feels to me like the more violent the sport, the less gays there are involved with it. Like, every ice skater is a faggot, and then like divers like Tom Daley, like, but then you go all the way up to these like really hyper contact sports. And I think at the very top of them are the fighting sports like MMA and boxing.
Yeah.
They're like, it's like something about being gay is especially disqualifying to that hypermasculine, violent environment.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's interesting. So I also then want to talk about sort of like the other side of this coin. I found this article that's 5 annoying stereotypes faced by all female rugby players.
Oh, interesting.
So there are a lot of girls that play rugby, which is wild because it's a violent sport. There are also female boxers and MMA fighters and less so like football players. But there are a lot of violent sports that have women's leagues. But this is by Ellie Boatman. And she said, quote, "Ever since I was little, rugby has played a big role in my life. After all, I was pretty much born into a rugby family. My parents' rings were carried on a rugby ball at their wedding. My brother plays. My dad played his whole life and has been my coach most of my life." So, number one thing, the most common of them all, you must be a lesbian.
Yep.
If you're a female rugby player, you therefore must love getting with girls and be a lesbian. For sure, there are lesbians, but that's with any sport like netball or hockey or basketball. I have been straight my whole life. I have a boyfriend. I am only attracted to men. In fact, my boyfriend plays rugby too, and it's how we met. So there are some guys out there who think it's pretty cool, but FYI, we're not all lesbians. And that is the presumption, right?
Yeah.
The more violent the sport, the more likely we think it is that they're going to be a lesbian.
And the sports are like, I think that all ties together. They're so masculine. Sports are so masculine and such a masculine stereotype that the women that play must be more masculine and therefore into women.
Yep. Number 2, you must be butch.
Oh yeah.
Which I think related. Number 3, you can't be very feminine.
Right.
Number 4, you can't be good at that. You're not big enough.
Oh, but you're okay.
Which is interesting. And number 5, you're going to get hurt if you keep doing that.
Yeah, you might, but also the men might too.
Right, exactly. But like the presumption that women are fragile and that they shouldn't be playing these. I think nobody should play some of these sports.
Yeah.
But
are you calling to an end to rugby?
no, I'm not calling for an end to rugby.
I wanted to upset like most of the Brits in Australia.
So not this summer, but last summer, for Pride here in Seattle, I went to the prom dress rugby match.
Yeah, I went there too.
And that was fun. Like, it was touch rugby, so it's not the like violent, like jab you in the eye, whatever version. So, I mean, I'm on board with that.
Yeah, and all genders played.
Yeah.
So, and it was interesting to see how people interpreted the prom dress thing.
Yeah.
Like, it was everyone like did their own prom thing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Anyway, I didn't mean for this to be such a downer, and it really gayish. Yeah. it really does seem to me like there's a sports in general, but particularly violent sports, come with a toxic masculinity that then precludes gay men from playing, and apparently precludes the perception of straight women from playing.
Yeah.
And the whole thing is like, I don't know. It's just interesting.
That leads very well into this guy I'm going to tell you about.
Great. Excellent. I love it.
I'm going to tell you about Israel Folau.
Okay. I'm going to make the same joke I did in our pre-production meeting.
Great.
Like,
can't wait.
Is it Billy Folau's cousin?
Yes.
Do you know who that is?
Didn't he chop off the... No, wait.
No, that's Lorraine Bobbitt.
Lorena Bobbitt. Okay. No, I don't know who that is. I don't recognize the name.
Billy Folau was the student that Mary Kay Letourneau dated.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
You do a good job at naming other people with the same last name.
Yeah. It's a skill.
Yeah, great.
Look, if it were easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah. Israel was a fullback on the Wallabies, which is an Australian men's national rugby union team.
Mm-hmm.
Looked that up and wrote it down because I'm sure people would care.
Mm-hmm.
And he was one of the nation's highest paid athletes. In 2019, on Instagram, he posted, quote, "Hell awaits drunks, homosexuals, adulterers, liars, fornicators, thieves, atheists, and idolaters." Idolaters?
Idolaters.
Mm-hmm. This was not the first time he had posted something homophobic and atheophobic.
Yeah. I mean, religion, right?
Yeah. In 2017, he tweeted, "I love and respect all people."
That's not true.
That's not true. You know when you say that something shitty's about to come out of their mouth.
Yep.
This is the I'm not racist, but for gay people. "I love and respect all people for who they are and their opinions, but personally, I will not support gay marriage." Peace sign emoji, heart emoji, prayer hands emoji.
Sure. Great.
The use of emojis is what gets me.
Yeah. It makes it seem less virulent.
Look, I hate gay people. Heart sign, like, sure. In 2018, he stated that homosexuals would go to hell in this unless they repented.
Sure. Great.
So he refused to cooperate, did not take the post down. Mm-hmm. So he was fired from a 4-year, $4 million contract for a breach of the player's code of conduct, which included, quote, "respectful use of social media."
Great. Excellent.
Yeah. Do you think this is the right thing?
I mean, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess.
The code required players to, quote, "treat everyone equally, fairly, and with dignity, regardless of gender or gender identity, sexual orientation, ethnicity, cultural or religious background, age, or disability."
Yeah.
That's what.
I went through this period of time where I thought that tolerance was the goal. And that just live and let live was the best that we were going to ever be able to do as a human society, because humans are terrible. Mm-hmm. And then at some point, I heard people on the right say, "You don't want tolerance. You want to change me so that I support you." And you know what? Yeah, that's where I've arrived. Fuck you. You don't get to feel like that. You need to change your mind.
Yeah.
Yes, I want to alter your beliefs.
Yeah.
Deal with it.
Yeah.
And I don't know if saying to this person, working here means you have to treat everyone fairly. Treating everyone fairly means you can't be homophobic. You said a homophobic thing, retract it, and then you double down and say, "No, fuck you." Great, fuck you. You're out.
Yeah.
Get the fuck out.
I don't know. I have a hard time with the idea of like using social media, using someone's personal social media as a reason to get them fired. This could have gone to like, he sued. He argued that his contract was unlawfully ended because of his Christian beliefs.
Sure.
Of course. It's always Christianity. It's always religious freedom, but it's always Christianity.
Yeah. It's your Christian beliefs. Yes, that is the problem.
Yeah.
You think that your Christian God says that gay people don't deserve to live.
Yeah.
That they're going to hell. That, like, yeah, it is your Christian beliefs. Your particular brand of Christianity.
It's
fuck you.
And it's not just, it's also like because he could have quietly believed that and not said anything and wouldn't have gotten fired. So it's also like how public he was. He said, quote, "As Australians, we were born with certain rights, including the right to freedom of religion and the right to freedom of expression. The Christian faith has always been a part of my life, and I believe it is my duty as a Christian to share God's word. Upholding my religious beliefs should not prevent my ability to work or play for my club and country." So he sued Rugby Australia for $9.5 million.
Great. Did he win?
In 2019, they settled for a confidential amount.
Oh, God.
So...
shitty.
Yeah, that sucks that he even got... presumably he got... I don't know, we will never know what that amount is unless he reveals it. But, like, presumably he got some kind of money. That's what I assume.
If it was about the principal, maybe it was $50. They're like, we'll give you $50 and then we can say that you sort of won.
Yeah, maybe. And so where I was getting to, and the reason I finished that story is because experts talked about if that would have gone to court.
What would have happened?
And that would have had a big legal precedent for religious expression and the use of social media in your workplace. Like I want to be fully on board with what you said, but like there's part of me that's like, you're hired to go play rugby. Why does what you say on social media have to play a role? But then I come around to like, we need to make the world a better place for everyone. And that includes being vocal about issues that affect minority groups. And that should appear everywhere, not just in like political spheres. So I'm on board.
Yeah, I agree with you that there's probably a line somewhere. Does this cross that line? I'm not sure. I don't think so. My gut says no, but I haven't done a lot of thinking about like what's the right way to do this.
Right.
I do know that I'm sick and fucking tired of the trump card of religion, that you can do whatever the fucking crazy ass shit you want, and as long as you can say because Jesus, that means you get to do it.
Yeah.
There's no place in a multicultural secular society.
Right.
Like that's just a calling card for fucking chaos and anarchy. And I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. I think, and like specifically professional sports organizations like rugby are trying to be very LGBT inclusive because they know how toxically masculine, and based on the numbers, there should be way more out players and there aren't, and they're behind the times. And I think they realize this and know they need to get their shit together. And that's why they have like pride nights and have gay teams and do all this support for LGBT. So I think it sends the right message that we will not tolerate this, especially if it's something that's been repeated, refuse to back down. I don't really give a shit about your religion.
I don't give a shit about your religion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the Patreon segment, I'm going to tell you a much happier story about a dude named Gareth Thomas, which was the first openly gay professional rugby player.
Oh, that's fun.
Yeah.
Great. Are you ready to talk about positions?
Yeah, let's do positions.
So as I said a little bit earlier, every position on a rugby team has a number.
Okay.
And that number is consistent. Mm-hmm. So there's forwards and backs, tops and bottoms, Kyle.
Really?
No, but there's forwards and backs. So the forwards are numbers 1 through 8, and they are forward. And then there's backs, and that is, the rest of them.
All the other ones, yeah.
9 through 15 are the backs. There's 15 people to a team. So what I wanted to talk to you about is the name and role for all of these positions.
Mm-hmm.
And then with the added fun that ChatGPT, I asked ChatGPT to cast someone famous in each position based on body type.
Interesting.
And when we're done, you're going to say like which rugby position you want to bang.
Okay.
Which is most attractive.
Okay.
Okay. So, first, number 1 is loose head prop.
That's the name of the position?
Yeah.
Loose head?
Loose head prop.
I love getting loose head.
They're strong and stocky with a powerful neck, shoulders, and legs. They engage in scrums and provide stability. And loose head prop, think of someone like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson.
Okay.
Muscular and solid.
Big boy.
Big boy. Number 2 is the hooker. Hooker is a position.
Sure.
Number 2s. They're shorter and strong with good agility. They throw the ball in lineouts and hook the ball in scrums. They tend to be shorter and strong with good agility. Imagine Tom Hardy.
Okay.
Compact, powerful, and agile.
Okay.
Number 3 is the tight head prop.
What weird names these are.
Number 3s are that's similar to the loose head prop, but often slightly heavier. They provide strength and stability in scrums, and they cast Vin Diesel.
Okay.
Broad and imposing.
Okay.
4s are the locks, or
Locktober.
or second row. They're 4 and 5. Tall and powerful, usually the tallest players on the team. They are key in lineouts and provide power in scrums. And they said think Liam Hemsworth. Tall, strong, athletic. Number 5s are blindside flankers. Strong and versatile with good tackling ability.
That's important.
They play a key role in defense and securing the ball. They say Chris Hemsworth. Muscular and versatile. Chris Hemsworth is verse, everybody. You heard it here first. Number 6 is open side flanker, agile and fast, excellent tackling skills. They often compete for the ball at breakdowns.
I don't know what most of the actual words you're saying. I don't know what most of these things mean. That's okay though. Rugby people get it.
Also, I might be off by one. Oh, there's 2 locks. 4 and 5 are the 2 locks in the second row. Great. Then blindside flankers are 6s. 7s are open side flankers. They're agile and fast with excellent tackling skills. They often compete for the ball at breakdowns. They said Jason Statham. 8s are tall and strong with good ball handling skills.
Yeah, handle them balls.
They control the ball at the base of the scrum and are key ball carriers. They said Henry Cavill. Tall, muscular, and athletic. Number 9, they're scrum halves. They are shorter and agile. Now we're in the back row, the backs. These are the backs. Scrum half, they're shorter and agile with excellent passing skills. They link the forwards and backs and make quick decisions.
Oh, so they got to be more smart.
They said Tom Holland. Quick, agile, and sharp.
Okay.
10s are fly halves. They're agile and strategic with good kicking and passing skills. They direct the team's attacks. Here they said, picture Ryan Gosling. Athletic and strategic. Which I don't think of him as strategic, but whatever.
I think of him as so strategic.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
I'm skipping 11s because they come later. They're wingers. 12s are inside centers. They're strong and fast with good tackling and passing skills. They break through defenses and support the fly half. Think Michael B. Jordan. Muscular and fast.
Oh. I get more interested when you say the guy than the description of the rugby thing.
Both have to be true. No. 13s are outside centers. They're similar to the inside center, but they're slightly faster or often faster. They exploit gaps in the defense and support the wings. And they said for 13, Zac Efron, quick and athletic. 11s and 14s are your wingers. 11s and 14s are fast and agile with good finishing skills.
Yeah, finish him.
They score tries and provide width in attack. Wingers, they say Usain Bolt. Incredibly fast and agile. That boy's hot and fast. And then last but not least are 15s. They're fullbacks. And the fullbacks...
They have that in football.
Agile and strong under high balls with good kicking and counterattacking skills, they provide the last line of defense. And they say David Beckham, agile, strong, and skilled. And then ChatGPT said, I hope this helps Kyle make his choice.
Oh, ChatGPT knows about me. Hey, ChatGPT, tell ChatGPT I said what's up.
I will.
Okay.
So what do you think? Those are the positions and what they do. And it is true that, like, you know, there's no like wafishly thin twinks in rugby. There are a lot of big boys in rugby.
Yeah.
But there are lots of different body types in rugby. Like my rugby friends, I'll often hear them say like, "You've got the body of a 4 or whatever," like, and that, you know, means what it means.
Yeah.
But yeah, what do you think? What appeals to you most?
I wrote down some names. I wrote down Liam and Chris and Ryan Gosling and Michael B. Jordan. I'm gonna go Michael B. Jordan.
Okay.
Which one was that?
Inside center, a 12.
A 12.
So you want 12s?
I like 12s. I think.
So
he's beautiful.
Yeah. And
got arms for days.
apparently strong and fast and with good tackling and passing skills.
Yeah,
So
he could tackle me.
yeah, tackle me. I'm gonna go with 8s.
What were 8s?
Henry Cavill,
Oh, okay.
tall, muscular, athletic, sit on my face.
See, I don't think he's, of course, objectively a very attractive man, but to the level that everyone else thinks he is, like, I just am not there with everyone.
How does it feel to be so wrong, Kyle?
I feel good about my decision.
In the Patreon segment, I also am going to tell you some jokes that I left out. I found a blog that was saying like the most wicked takedown jokes for all of the positions.
Oh,
and
okay.
some of them, it could have fit the masculinity conversation because a lot of them are like,
Are they offensive?
yeah, a little bit. But yeah, anyway, so I'll do that in the Patreon segment.
Okay. Ooh,
Does that mean we're done?
I think with that sneeze, the customary we're done sneeze. Yeah, rugby. We wanted to pick a straight topic because we've been doing gay shit and guests recently. So I think we achieved that goal of getting a pretty straight topic. We talked about a lot of problems. I don't know that we have a lot of solutions for them, though.
I don't know that we have a lot of solutions either. And I don't know. Please don't be mad.
Oh, what? Why would people be mad?
Rugby's a big fucking deal in like everywhere but here.
Oh.
And I think that maybe like, I don't know, people might rage quit the podcast over us not covering it correctly or in the way that they want it represented or something. I don't know.
I mean, there are a ton of gay leagues. We didn't talk a lot about the gay leagues, but those exist. So there are other places, there are pockets of rugby that are very inclusive and supportive of gay people. So that also exists. But I don't think that changes the fact that the professional rugby is very masculine and homophobic.
Yep.
But they're working on it, I think.
Yeah. I was thinking about playing rugby.
Yeah?
And then I was like, no, I'm old.
You could play rugby if you wanted to.
I mean, but north of 40, it's like you might injure yourself walking up the stairs. Like, sorry, Derek, welcome to your 40s. But yeah, so I don't know.
Yeah.
Probably not.
You could. Is there like a touch rugby league? Is there like? There's got to be leagues for all different.
I don't
age
want to
groups.
play pussy rugby, Kyle.
Oh no, Mike, you might be part of the problem.
I might be part of the problem. Should we take a break?
Yeah, let's take a break.
Let's take a break.
Break.
One?
Hooker.
Hooker. Hookers, get at me.
This is the part where Mike and Kyle take a break.
Are we back?
We're back.
We're back.
We're gonna do our Gayest and Straightest.
We're going to do our Gayest and Straightest, but first, hey, motherfuckers,
Yeah.
send in more Gayests and Straightests, please.
Yeah. Leave your voicemails for us because we need them.
And the podcast that fill in the blank because Kyle's repeating them.
Apparently, I'm repeating ones we've already gotten. I just like that one so much, I guess.
Yeah, so just do that. And again, we like audio best.
Yeah.
At least for the Gayest and Straightest.
Yeah, for sure.
Local gay bar review. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Okay, I'm going to talk to you about the Metro in Indianapolis, Indiana. I said it's a very cool building. It's like drinking at Ghostbusters.
Ooh.
But plastic cups are a half of dildo deduction. The bad karaoke makes me happy. There's a nice diverse crowd. It's not just dudes and white people. There's a hot bartender. The bar is legit. Not sure what I expected for 10 p.m. on a Thursday in Indiana, but this is beating those expectations.
Great.
The upstairs section is closed.
Oh.
Shrug emoji. There are giant jars of applesauce behind the bar, and I don't understand what that's about. 3.5 dildos. Wait!
Ooh.
The patio. There's a patio. Oh my God, this patio is fire. Fire emoji, fire emoji. 4.5 dildos.
Wow.
I was in a mood, I guess.
Loved that patio so much.
It was, okay, not kidding, the best patio at a gay bar I have ever been to.
Wow, why? What makes it so good?
It's got multiple like seating areas. It has like an outdoor couch and dining, coffee table kind of an area that was out there. There's like trees, which there's not a lot of trees in Indiana, but there were like back there. I just really, really liked it a lot.
Yeah.
And we ate out there and had beverages with my coworkers. Kelly was there. She plays rugby. Yeah. It was great. I loved it.
4.5 is pretty solid.
Pretty fucking great.
That might be the best that a bar can get.
Without me getting laid, yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Our website is Gayish Podcast. Our podcast, Gayish. Yeah. Our website is gayishpodcast.com.
Our media, our socials are Gayish Podcast at.
Our hotline, you can send us text messages or leave us voicemails. It's 5855-GAYISH. That's 585-542-9474. Standard rate supply.
Our website is gayishpodcast.com.
And our physical mailing address is Post Office Box 19882, Seattle, Washington, 98109.
Gayest and Straightest?
Let's do our Gayest and Straightest.
Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
So I got a new couch. So that is my Gayest because updating your home decor is gay.
Gay. Where'd you get a new couch from?
That's someplace on the internet that my mom found. It was a Christmas gift that is a little bit delayed. Okay. Because we went back and forth on trying to figure out what I wanted and what I liked. And
did it arrive?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
It's not just ordered like on its way. It's like you have a new couch.
I have a new couch. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Is it comfy?
I like it.
Okay.
The straightest thing is when the movers delivered it, we went to the elevator. I pressed the button and we stood there in silence.
Oh yeah, as God intended.
We didn't. Yes, we didn't try to make small talk. We didn't ask about each other's days or where we're from or I don't know what our favorite colors are. Or anything. It was just they were there to deliver a couch, and that is the extent of it. And that's what I like. Although our elevator takes a little bit sometimes, so it was like just sitting there like, oh my God, I need this elevator to come as soon as possible. But yeah, that's mine. What about you?
What about me? My straightest. Okay, so I bought a house.
Yeah.
And
congrats.
Thank you. Doing a bunch of demo work in it because we're doing a bunch of work to it before we move into it because there's a little bit of time to accomplish that. Anyway, bruising the crap out of myself, demolishing the bar.
Yeah.
And then, but also I love power tools. Apparently, like straight bro achievement unlocked. I love power tools.
Well, also demolishing things seems like a straight activity.
I bought a sledgehammer at Home Depot.
Wow.
I think it's my straightest of the year.
Yeah.
My gayest is gays are afraid of aging. And I went to the eye doctor and I have had a precipitous age-related decline in my vision and I have to get bifocals. And I thought I was going to lose my goddamn mind. I was horrified at that news. But at least I'll be able to see again.
I'm glad you went to the eye doctor. I'm really glad you finally took care of that because that needed to happen.
Yeah. I've been taking my glasses off to read and putting them back on, and sometimes neither way works, and it's because my eyes suck.
Yeah.
Great.
Well, good for you.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, no problem.
We have a listener's Gayest or Straightest.
Yeah. This is from Tristan.
Tristan.
Hi, Mike and Kyle. It's Tristan from Minneapolis. I'm going to tell you my gayest and straightest over the past 2 weeks, because that's just how I roll. My gayest was being part of the hosting crew here in Minneapolis for Blind LGBT Pride International. We had our fall social here, and there were lots of LGBTQIA plus people, who also were blind or visually impaired, and it was a great big gay fun fest. We loved it. My straightest has been buying WD-40 so I can oil the squeaky hinges of my bedroom door. Because right now, it sounds like it's getting ready for Halloween. Well, great podcast. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, thank you, Tristan.
Yeah,
Thanks for the good work that you're doing.
that seems really helpful.
Yeah. And also, okay, 3 straightest liquids that one can own. WD-40,
Whiskey. Oh.
bourbon,
Uh-huh.
WD-40,
Uh-huh.
and I don't know, like liquid sadness. What's the third one, Kyle?
Lube is gay. I was trying to think of what other liquids exist in my house.
Oh, like lube that's actual, like for your car.
Oh, car lube. Yeah, like some kind of oil, like a spare can of gas.
Yeah.
How about a spare can of gasoline
But
just sitting around?
WD-40 is up there.
Yeah,
it fixes
for sure.
so many things.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah.
I guess it's also lube. Spray lube.
Spray lube. Sure.
That's it.
That's it.
Thank you to everyone who plays rugby safely.
I was going to say stay safe because that shit could kill you.
Also, thanks to the 8s that are going to fuck me.
Oh, God. Thanks to, I forget which number. Thank you to Michael B. Jordan.
Yeah.
Just him in general. And thank you to our super gap bridgers. Thank you to Locomotives, Kaylee Adams, Kit Oliver, Kobe Gordon, Squoggle, Pip, Andrew Bugby, William Bryant, John Crowley, Yost Osel, Jonathan Montanius, Forrest Nail, Steve Douglas, Explosive Zania, Michael Covington, Just Jamie, Thomas B., Dusty Sands, A. Coleman, Chris Cacciatorians, and Jerome York. Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your money. That's it. This has been Gayish from the Chris Cacciatorian Studios. I'm Mike Johnson.
I'm Kyle Getz. Until next week, be butch, be fabulous, be you.
Hooker.
I don't know. Was that a good episode about rugby?
No idea.